You have to be transparent, you have to be ethical, and you have to be truthful.
Blame game associated here, where the woman is always...
You don't treat a male here, you treat a male ego here. I have seen instances even in small town where the person is married second time because they are not able to conceive, and after that we come to know.
There must be so many stories like this which...
So many stories. Two of his babies, they died in the lap of his mother because they had some type of a genetic defect. New options of treatment we have wherein we can identify the gene which causes such a problem.
Taboo in rural areas in India.
There were women, if they were not able to conceive, then they were barred from all the social functions.
Welcome to another episode of Fertility Tales powered by Nova IVF. I'm your host Simrat, and this is a podcast designed specially for those seeking guidance and insights in infertility treatments in India. Today we have a very special guest with us, an eminent IVF consultant who has helped realize many a couple's dreams. Dr. Mahesh Koregol, it's a pleasure to have you with us.
Namaste. Thank you.
Doctor, let's start at the very beginning. How did you choose the profession of medicine, and how did you come about specializing in gynecology specifically?
This is a very interesting question, and I should say that this is a very emotional question for me because this has been a dream for my father as well as for me to be a doctor. And then my father, in his youth days, he did a lot of odd jobs. He comes from a very small village in North Karnataka, and one of them was working with another practitioner doctor to help him. And then over the time, he did write entrance examinations to be a doctor, but then fees was not much. It was in few hundreds, but then those days it was a big family, and it was a small town, small village, and he couldn't afford it. But then always it was his desire to be a doctor, and then he couldn't do it. And then he was, when we were born, he was telling us the stories as to what was the medicine and what was the need to be a doctor, and how you can reach to small villages wherein there was no medical facility and people were suffering because of so many diseases which could have been cured easily. And all those things inspired us when we grew up. So over the time when we were writing an entrance examination, I didn't even think of taking anything other than biology. Mathematics examination as an entrance for a CET, common entrance test, I didn't even write a mathematics examination because I wanted to become a doctor, and in that time I studied for a biology, and again I wrote a biology paper, and then here we are. I became a doctor. I have two sisters, an elder sister who is a postgraduate and a professor in dentistry, and younger sister a professor in dermatology. All three of us.
All three are doctors.
All of us are doctors.
How amazing.
We are all doing well, luckily, and it was my father who is an inspirational person for us to become a doctor. And then my mother, who was a graduate those days, was a backbone behind our studies, who made us study well. I thank my parents that today I am a doctor.
That's so interesting, doctor. Right from humble beginnings and realizing your parents' dreams, you are such an eminent IVF consultant today. Doctor, within medicine, how did you come about choosing gynecology as a profession?
That's again an excellent question. Yeah, I come from a humble beginning and a small town, wherein there is a lot of people. I used to see they suffer, a lot of women especially. I was very close with my mom, and I have two sisters. So, and I was very close with my Doddamma, that is my mother's younger sister, and everybody, all women. I saw so many sufferings among them, and then they couldn't tell it to outside world or even to the men, and there was no much access to the healthcare facility. I even saw a lot of people suffering with infertility and other consequences. All this inspired me in the beginning to become a person who can cater better for a woman's health care, who can reach out to the suffering of these people and do something about this. So that inspired me to take a gynecology as a profession, and this helped me over the career to reach so many people that now I am satisfied with the decision that I have made.
That's very interesting to know, doctor. But like you mentioned that you've taken gynecology to help women. Gynecology in itself is a very female-dominated space. What are the advantages and disadvantages of yourself being a male gynecologist? How have you been able to tackle that?
See, this is a very important question. Yes, there is an inhibition in certain people, a certain strata of society. Yes, there is an inhibition to go to a male gynecologist as such.
Correct.
We have seen that, but then it also helps me in the other way around. There are a lot of men who cannot express something to a lady gynecologist, so they come to me and say what is their problem. So, for example, somebody is suffering with some kind of a male disorder, maybe something to do with the fertility or something to do with sexual life or any kind of male related problems. They cannot open up to a lady gynecologist. They come to me. That is number one. And the men do come with the problem of the wife has, so that they can be more expressive, they can talk more openly to me, and then men can explain what is the problem and they can seek solutions from me. So in a way it has been advantageous for me in my journey. Yes, there has been some kind of a reservation in some people, but then that has not affected to greater extent. And when you grow with the experience and you have a name, then definitely people recognize you, because always in India, country like India, a doctor is treated more like a god. So that much of a discrimination does not come. And now in my profession, I don't see much of a discrimination, and I'm happy with what kind of a response I'm seeing.
Doctor, originating from Bagalkot, which is a non-metro town, how do you perceive the cultural attitudes, especially when IVF still holds a degree of taboo in rural areas in India?
Yes, this is a very nice question. I come from a small place. Bagalkot was a small taluka in North Karnataka, and I saw a lot of stigma associated with infertility, even to the extent that there were women, if they were not able to conceive, then they were barred from all the social functions, or any good shubhakarya, what they call, any good festivals, or anybody's good functions happening in the house. They were not even invited. Even if they come, they were insulted. Those were the days, even I literally saw in the towns. And there were instances wherein even the husband was asked, or even they married another woman just because they cannot conceive, the lady cannot conceive. So a lot of sufferings in the small towns, even villages, even till today, there are a lot of sufferings I see. And this is really not a very good trend, and especially for women, this is too discriminating, because today's era there are so many fertility options are available, but then we see a lot of such rituals for infertility women that they go through such a rigorous wrong treatment or a mistreatment or kind of even abuse, so which is really not good. That's what we saw it in small towns. Having said that, now there are a lot of awareness happening. I see a lot of changes even in the small towns, because there are so many awareness campaign, everything happening. And the days what were there couple of decades back is quite different scenario today. There is a quite good awareness, education, different of the work of media, and everything has helped. So the scenario is going towards a positive change.
Right. So, doctor, how do you counsel how do you counsel the patients? Because I believe counseling is also very important for the couple coming from various strata of the society. They could be educated, they could be otherwise. But how do you approach that?
See, in India, when we talk to the couple, it is not couple. We talk to the family.
Right.
So it is in many cases, it is not the couple, they are decision making people. It's the elders also in the family, the siblings in the family. So we generally make everyone understand. So if they are educated couple, generally they come alone. Suppose if they are not semi-educated or small town, they come with the family. So we have to explain everybody that how common is this problem. You are not the only one. So then we tell the family that yes, because health is taken for granted. When somebody comes, the first stage is 100 years. My grandfather never went to hospital. It has been 60 years. I have not gone to hospital. See my child. We used to have 10 babies those days, and now he is not able to. See, all these a lot of problems or small talks will come. But then we have to make them understand, not only the couple, also the family, that what are the changes happening in the body and why these particular problems come. So we counsel not only the couple, but also the family members who need to understand, so that they don't go into some untraditional methods of treatment which are more harmful. or too much trying for a long time for the religious way, or going to temples and other things. These all things we need to tell them what exactly is the problem, how this problem happened, and what are the possible solutions. And they are not the only people. So there is a large population which has some problems like this. So when we explain like this in detail in their own language, they understand better, so that they take a informed choices of treatment. So we feel that nowadays they are more open up to treatment than before.
Like you rightly said, doctor, there's so much stigma around IVF and infertility that we should be considering it as any other disease that is prevalent in this world and which is treatable. So that's really interesting to know how you would counsel a family before the couple. Doctor, on a larger perspective, India has been rapidly advancing in assisted reproductive technology, also known as ART sector. How do you think we're performing? And if you had the chance, how would you modify society's view towards fertility treatment in India?
I feel India is much quite advanced than the Western world in terms of ART, infertility, or IVF treatments, because we have almost every gadget, every technology, every expertise, every training that is required for an advanced reproductive technologies or advanced infertility treatments available in India today. Not only in tier 1 cities, even in tier 2 cities. So that kind of advancement we have, which I don't see in most of the Western world today. So that it is, we can say that we are far better trained than them, because we handle more number of patients, and we are more accessible than them, and we are more affordable than them. So the treatment for an IVF goes through the roof. If you see, if you go to the countries like US, UK or Europe and see the treatment in the private sector, it is quite very difficult for a normal person to access or afford the treatment, which unlike in India. And the government sector has lot of regulations, lot of their own waiting list for the treatment, which is unlike here. Here we have the treatment available at fingertips. If patients want, so they can avail the treatment, they can access the treatment, and it is much affordable. This is another reason that we have so many patients coming from the other countries to us.
Yeah, medical tourism is booming in India.
A lot of patients come from other countries to us because we are accessible, affordable, genuine, and we have all those advanced technologies which a Western world has to offer us. So today, a patient doesn't have, even the affordable patient don't prefer to go outside India for fertility treatment. They prefer to get treated here. So there are top class fertility networks, fertility hospitals, and top class doctors are available, and top class embryologists, gadgets, equipments, everything is available.
And the skill with technology.
Yes, then why we think somebody has to go out of India, or even we see the lot of influx, lot of people coming from there here, because India has shown or proven itself a superior, accessible and affordable person or the country in terms of patient care.
Doctor, how would you then modify the society's view towards infertility?
What I believe is, you cannot modify anybody's views, but you can educate somebody's views. So educating in the sense, now you see, now I am talking to you, so it reaches somebody. There are a lot of doctors, lot of embryologists, lot of other people who are talking about fertility. So when we talk about fertility, it goes into different ways of reaching people. Now India is one of the countries where data is very cheap. The internet is very cheap. Everybody has access to the internet on their mobile. So they have so much information, so much than couple of decades back. Now they have everything on fingertips. So now they are aware. So awareness can be increased. Awareness drives have increased. There are a lot of awareness campaigns, awareness shows in the newspaper media also, print media also you see, television media also you see. In that way, there is a lot of awareness now. It's unlike the olden days where men even didn't come forward to get themselves tested, semen test. So now they're also coming forward. We are finding the cause and we are telling them this is a problem. So I feel we need to educate. We need to spread awareness, which is already happening on a good scale. I think going forward, promoting this on a more way will help. That is number one. Number two, what I feel is the more and more government hospitals are also opening up. So government is planning to open the ERT in the government setup. That will have more accessibility and more people can avail benefit from it.
That's good to know, doctor. And this is our endeavor at Fertility Tales to make it known that infertility is a disease that can be combated and to get the conversation moving around infertility. Dr. Koregol, your practice gives you exposure to patients from various backgrounds, both urban and rural, educated and otherwise. Does your counseling approach change depending on the profile of the patient? And if so, how do you deal with it?
Yeah, see, there are different kind of people. So all fingers are not same. All fingers have a different length. All people have different wavelength of thinking, different wavelength of understanding what you try to tell them, and the questions in their mind are different. If somebody is educated, they will have a lot of googled a lot of information, and they have a lot of information, misinformation also. So we tell them based on the what scientific evidence available, to whatever scientific extent they can digest. We try to break it down into a small part and we tell them. And if somebody comes from a rural area, they have a different set of questions, different set of expectations from us as to what we are going to do and why they are the dilemma of why they are not able to conceive. So all the different questions more in related to the religious beliefs or their myths of fertility and other things. So we need to clarify on that level. So the disease is same for all. If somebody gets a heart attack, a rich people or a poor man, it's a heart attack. If somebody gets infertility related to suppose a tubal disease, it is going to be same for all. Maybe he is rich or poor. I mean, the disease doesn't discriminate the person. So only thing is that this is going to be same in both strata of society, but the way they think and they analyze is something that is more important. And the same way we need to explain them as to what are their apprehensions, what are their thought process, and what are their beliefs associated with that particular disease, and what are their surrounding they have come up with. So we try to study it and we try to answer and address rather than, I don't think answer is appropriate here, you need to address them. So address the person, address the surrounding, and we need to clarify. Since I come from a small town, I know what a small town person thinks. I've been living in a big town for quite a few years. I know what they think. So both the strata of society I'll be able to address in their own way so that they are clarified of their doubt. Because we can give them even a video demonstration as to what is going wrong. So where it can go, then they'll understand. Somebody is educated well who has done research before they come to us. We tell them with evidence and with the videos that see, this is a problem you are facing. This is, yeah, so this is how you understand. And somebody who doesn't understand much, we try to educate them. With the videos, we tell them, so this is a problem you have. So this is what has happened. It is not a result of your previous janma, anything you have done, or previous life. So nothing like that. This is a particular problem. So many people have suffered. So you are one of them who have unfortunately ended up like this. Yes, we have an option. We have a solution for you. We give them hope. We give them hope and we make them understand what is the process they have to go through. And any strata of society, if they are addressed well, if they haven't explained about the problem they are facing, that options of treatment they have, then they will always be willing to go, because disease doesn't discriminate anybody. So same way, treatment will be informed with anybody, provided they have understood the concept, provided they understood the treatment options, they are willingly going for the treatment.
Doctor, interestingly, you mentioned that when male patients come to you, especially for an infertility treatment, it is always sort of, there's a blame game associated here where the woman is always, she's always blamed and has to bear the brunt of this situation. And sometimes it might not be the case also. So how do you address this to the male counterpart and explain to them? Because I'm sure you must get a lot of resistance and a lot of, so how do you deal with this?
you don't treat a male here, you treat a male ego here. So what we do is we tell them, see, you are a human being, so nobody is above anybody and above the what nature. Nature is the supreme for anybody. So what happens is, unfortunately, you have some problem. So this problem is there with many men. You are not alone. We show them the statistics. What kind of percentage of men have this kind of a problem, so that they don't feel that they are alone or threatened or singled out. So it is not a blame game that you are responsible, I am responsible. As a unit, as husband and wife, as a family, you are one. If you have a problem, it is my problem. I have a problem, your problem. So that attitude they have to develop. So it's not the question that you are not answerable to anybody, but then you will have to need a family. So that's why you are here. So, but then how best we can offer you the treatment, and then keep your ego aside. Many people have this kind of a problem, and what I can do for you, I can explain to them. And I have seen in instances even in small town where the person is married second time because they are not able to conceive, and after that we come to know that person himself doesn't have capacity to have a baby. But then unfortunately a second time he got married because that kind of a male ego. Yeah, we have seen all kinds of men, but then with increasing awareness, I see that more men are coming ahead to get themselves tested, and acceptance rate is much better than couple of decades back. Now the acceptance is quite good. They are acceptable and amenable to any treatment of options you are going to offer, and now it is much more easier job to convince a man than it was few years.
Because you have statistics to show and to tell them that they're not alone. That's very valid. Doctor, your profession indeed brings so much joy and happiness and hope to so many couples. Do you have any moment that stands out for you and a particular story that tugs at your heartstrings?
Yes, there are not one story, there are hundreds of stories I can tell if the time permits. But then there are quite a few. And then there was a doctor he was my colleague. He lost two of his babies. They died in the lap of his mother because they had some type of a genetic defect. So this was genetic defect wherein baby could not survive after some time. So this is a very sad phase, which I could say, for the couple, wherein it's heartbreaking for any parent to have the babies, they left the world on their lap. But then with the new technologies, new options of treatment we have, wherein we can identify the gene which causes such a problem, and we can have a healthy baby, healthy embryo to transfer, which will give them a healthy baby. So we have successfully given, and now the parents are the happy couple with a healthy child, and now they come and meet me often, and then that joy in their eyes, that makes my life fulfilled, whatever I have done for.
And there must be so many stories like this, which
So many stories wherein I can remember a couple whose two children wanted to play. They went out, they were playing near the pond. Unfortunately, they just got drowned in the pond. And parents are devastated to the extent that mother was willing to commit a suicide. So that kind of a scenario. And after two children, the family planning surgery is done in India. So they tried to reverse the surgery, they tried to do all that, but then still they didn't conceive. So they were broken emotionally and they were beyond consoling. So they came to me and then I counseled them. They need more talking, more assurance. And luckily, after the IVF treatment, the couple could conceive. So they forgot the sorrow they had because of the babies they lost, and now the new baby has brought in new world, new hopes, new aspirations. And now I could see the change in the mother when she came to me for the first time, sat in front of me, cried for an hour, and now when she comes to show me her babies, I can see the hope and the
new reason to be
happiness
and new reason
in
to
their
live.
eyes.
That's so hard.
And yes, this is something that I can relate with n number of my patients. N number of patients. So this is just a couple of good endings I'm telling you. There are a lot of people who have struggled in their life and they have achieved happiness after a successful IVF treatment or some genetic abnormalities. So we rule out those genetic abnormalities and transfer the healthy embryos. The pre-implantation genetic testing has helped known genetic disorder people. So all these success stories are way beyond the pleasure or happiness they give us, and this is the most professional satisfaction that is there and makes our profession more worth.
And keeps you going also, I think.
And the somebody patient sends their photographs on the mobile and they tell the see doctor, this baby is playing today, he is first day of his walking, first day of his school. This comes in the evening and my day is done. So this kind of a picture I keep getting every day, different parents. So they tell that this is the first time my baby walked today, first time he sat without support, first time he's going to school, please send your blessings to us.
And you've been part of the couples
Yes.
first also.
Every stage they remember me, and this is what makes me much happier. And no amount of the whatever I work, how much tiredly I work, I'm satisfied at the end of the day that I'm bringing happiness to a couple who are otherwise are feeling themselves as doomed.
That's so lovely, doctor. Doctor, sometimes things don't go as planned. Sometimes there are successes and failures. How do you prep the couple or people who are not able to conceive or have a child of their own?
See, when they come to me, they generally try all the different versions of treatment in a small doctor, small clinics or other gynecologists. They come and they generally come to me after they fail everything. And they are already in a position, they are desperate that doctor, we have tried so much, we have been financially, we have spent so much, emotionally, physically, everything we have endured. And what is there for us? I tell them based on the whatever the condition they have, this is a treatment option I can offer you at the best. And yes, I cannot play God. I cannot assure you 100% success with whatever I'm offering you. So I'm not lying. I'm being honest with you. No matter anywhere you go across the world, not only in India, any country you think, nobody can offer you 100% success. So the technology, IVF technology itself is couple of decades old. It's not a very old technology which has not been refined yet to bring you 100%. So suppose if you have appendix problem, appendicectomy, the problem is solved. This is not like that. So infertility or an IVF treatment is not something that at the fingertips I can give you 100% success. So it is not like that. But I will make sure that best of the treatment is offered to you. Cutting edge, world class treatment is offered to you. And I can assure the best of the results under me, most ethical way, most transparent way. Everything is told to you, always available for discussions whenever you have doubt. But then we have to know before we start our journey that it is not 100% guaranteed.
Right. So you have to set some expectations and realities.
You have to be transparent, you have to be ethical, and you have to be truthful so that they know before they start. Not only before they start, during that course of treatment, if you are seeing something, keep communicating. So communication is the key. So keep communicating with the people. Tell them this is the problem I am seeing. This might lead to this problem. This might lead to this kind of a situation, so that patient is well aware. The couple are well aware of what you are trying to do. Even if it fails, they know that you have spoken to them about this and why it happened and what are the next possible solution steps. So if they are aware, if you are communicated well, they will accept.
And as long as they are informed.
Yes.
Got it, doctor. Doctor, for the younger generation who is interested in pursuing a career in infertility, what would your advice be?
See, when I did my training in infertility, there were hardly handful of people who went into training in infertility because it was not a very, I should say, a well-known or very lucrative or any of those fields. I went because I was interested in this and I wanted to offer the treatment choices for many people at different places. So I was a teacher in a medical college before. So I used to see a lot of people, there was no option. So I went out of the way and private sector, the fertility training was there. I did a fertility training in Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, which is a university training, and there was not much awareness then, and there were very few people who were offering training also then.
Right.
So we did the training during those days, and today there are so many options are available for training in different roles. Different roles, yes, in infertility treatment, different roles in the sense, if you are a MD, if you are a gynecologist, you can be a fertility specialist as I am. If you are with a science background, you can do a PhD or you can do a MSc in embryology and you can pursue to become an embryologist.
Oh.
If you have done a psychology, a clinical psychology course, yes, you can be a psychological counselor. You can be a registered nurse, which is specialized in fertility treatment options. So there are a lot of avenues today to become a trained fertility worker, from doctors till different roles. But what I find is you have to go if you have the heart with compassion, heart with empathy, heart which understands the pain of people who are not conceived without being judgmental.
Right.
And you have to have that kind of a connect to those people who are already in a very bad emotionally, mentally, physically, or even financial status. So if you have that kind of a empathy and a capacity, it's a very good field. But as it is always said, if you go in just because you want to be in this field, you may not enjoy it. If you do a work which you don't love, it's called stress. If you do a work which you love, it is a passion. So passion, if you are doing the work, you don't feel the stress. If you are doing it passionately, and you will do a good work, good job. So making money is not the criteria, but having a passion to treat couple who are suffering and how much I can offer for them is the criteria, and these different roles are there.
Sounds like empathy is at the core of the being for this profession. At the same time, it sounds like a very robust ecosystem in fertility. Doctor, as your passion is your work, what are your hobbies and what are your other passions than this career, and how do you make time for that?
Yeah. See, my passion is basically I come from a very humble background. I studied in a government Kannada school, so I was not a private convent educated man. And as a boy, I ate midday meals that was given by the government. So I've come from that kind of a small school in a small town, and my Kannada used to be good, and I had a very good Kannada education. And now with the Kannada, that kind of foundation, I write a lot of Kannada poetry, and especially those societal problems in Kannada I can express. And a lot of people it reaches. I'm writing a book with kind of stories now, and a lot of poetry I've written over the time. And yes, we don't have time, but then I travel a lot. I do free infertility camps for the couple across Karnataka, some part of Andhra and Tamil Nadu, everywhere. During journey, I write. During the time whenever I get during my this journey, train journeys and bus journeys, or I'm going by car, I keep writing. So whenever thought process, and whenever you travel more, you get a lot of new ideas to write. You see new people, you meet new people, you get new ideas. You're exposed to newer problems, so newer way of thinking. So this has helped me to write more and about poetry. Traveling is also my another passion, and now with the traveling and with the free camps, I travel a lot, and I love what I'm doing, and I'm able to connect with the grassroots level and the people of all small society or small startup society, small towns. This has given me insight into my life and know what makes you happy. So there are two people who are rich. That is one who has a lot of money, one who has less needs. So this is a concept I see so many happy people in so many places. So that has in turn made me happy.
That's so true. That's so true. Doctor, your commitment towards making people aware about this has been commendable, and it has been an enlightening conversation. Thank you so much for your insights.
Thank you for having me here. It was indeed a pleasure.
To our listeners, thank you for joining us today. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories, expert insights, and a sense of community. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, this is your host Simrat. Stay hopeful.